and see how it goes. And you may find that you need to do one more than the other, or you need some type of a, heaven forbid, hybrid situation.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
One thing that's interesting, I think this is going to roll us nicely into the next thing, which is the elusive work-life balance. So if you're, like, for you specifically, you and your mom are doing a crazy number of transactions. Okay, the volume number might be a little bit less with regards because of your price, your market price, but it's crazy to be doing, 13, 15 transactions a month for you as a pair. And how are you managing that with your involvement with all the associations and doing all the leadership and, having all that involvement? And then obviously now you've got, you've got your animals, you've got your daughter, you've got your partner. Like, how is this? I know you touched on it earlier where maybe recently you maybe not been so amazing, but how are you kind of amalgamating and meshing these all so that it all kind of works together well?
So I'm not great at work-life balance. It's constantly a work in progress. But what I have learned over the years is that the whole work-life balance concept, when we say work-life balance, it's like they are opposing forces. And they're not. They shouldn't be. Life is what we live every day. Work's just part of it. It has to fit in there nicely, some way, somehow. And that's the goal. It's not always attainable and achievable. And I think it fluctuates. I talk to a lot of, my best friend is the marketing director for one of our local mortgage companies here. And she's a mom of two and all that. And we Marco Polo on a daily basis, the Marco Polo app, because we cannot actually find the time to text one another or call one another. So we just word vomit our thoughts on Marco Polo. And then when she has time, she'll listen to them, respond, word vomit accordingly. And that's how our relationship continues to this day. But we talk all the time about, guilt, mom guilt for not, spending enough time with your spouse, guilt for not, checking all the boxes, guilt for not taking care of yourself. There's a constant guilt that is prevalent in our lives on a daily basis. Fighting that guilt is a big one. And the only way to really do that is set boundaries. And boundaries are not easy to set, but I've actually started to teach a class on this one. I just taught it in Wisconsin and I taught it virtually to a couple different young professional networks. But it's a constant adaptation. Everything's going to suffer at different points in time. It's a seasonal thing. One season, your personal relationships may not be at their best, but one season your work relationships may not be at their best. Everything's going to fluctuate a little bit. It's never going to be perfectly consistent. I don't know that I could ask anybody that's a top producer or even not to say hey, you feel like everything's good and balanced and everything's going really, really well for you. I'm sure that most everybody's no, there's a lot of things that I could probably work on and fix here. But setting boundaries is definitely the biggest one. And an example of that would be something like, the phone rings at 7:00 at night. And unless you are actively working a deal, don't take that call, because whoever that is now knows, called her at 7:00 that one night, calling her at 7:00 again tomorrow night, because that's when it's convenient for me. I don't care if it's convenient for her. And people forget that we have lives and, we exist outside of our careers and our jobs. But setting those boundaries for yourself, there are definitely certain times where you have to, you have to, especially in this market. It's hard to set the boundaries because, what if it's that agent calling me back about whether or not we got that offer accepted? To that agent, I will say, please text me. You don't need to call me. That's a good one too. I think I've eliminated a lot of unnecessary time by texting versus calling. That's something that I'd really like to get through to some of the more seasoned agents. But I think that's a battle that I'm not going to win, but it is a hill I'm willing to die on. So texting over calling all day, setting your boundaries and finding something that you enjoy. So for me, I enjoy working out. I make time to work out. It's only a 45-minute or an hour-long class. Yes, sometimes I take my phone in with me, even though I do not want to. But if the 11:30 class is the only class I can get in, I swear to you, by the time I get out of that class, I'll have 60 text messages. And then that just it's not even worth it in my head to have taken that hour time for me to just go back and have to catch up with all of the bullshit that just blew up in our face. I saw a meme the other day that real estate is one of those, I think it might've been on the Broke Agent, but real estate is one of those things where, some days I'm like, everybody and their mother needs something from me. And some days I question whether or not I have a job. And that's 100% true in our business. It's feast or famine. And so, it's hard for us to set boundaries. It's hard for us to set schedules because our life fluctuates minute to minute, hour to hour. I could have 5 appointments scheduled for tomorrow, and 3 of them could text me tonight and say, can we reschedule? And then my whole day has changed. Everything has changed in the blink of an eye. So it's challenging for us to be able to achieve work-life balance because there is no set schedule whatsoever. And then you add COVID into the mix and us working from home, which a lot of realtors were already remote to begin with. But now I think almost all of us, I don't even know what my office looks like anymore, cleaned it out like 6 months ago because it was very clear. I waited a while, but very clear that I probably wasn't going back there. So cleaned things out, but it's next to impossible for us to figure out boundaries and what we need to be doing.
No, one of my questions I actually had just listening to you then was actually about the office thing. It was the last one because one of the things, like me and Peter as well, we don't have an office we go to either. And what we've found is like independent business people, top producers, people like that don't tend to go. It's more of the newer agents who feel like they need proximity.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say everyone's office like this, so I'm going to put a caveat out there. But this is how the thought process usually goes. I'm a new agent. I'm going to go to the office where the top producers are. The problem is those top producers are competing for the same market and the same deals that you are. So you think they're going to help you. A lot of the time they don't because you are now their competition. So it doesn't tend to work out. And then it was like, I've got to be in the office to do this. We've heard some crazy stories where they've been like basically demanded to be in the office if they're going to work for the brokerage. And we're like, fuck no. So are you like now you're 100% quote unquote virtual. You just do it from your home, phone, car type deal, never in the brokerage anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. So mom, again, being with her and having seen the business evolve over the years, it was not until the pandemic started that we started working from home. I knew I could work from home, but mom got up and went to work every day. So I got up and went to work every day. Mom was also the broker of our office at the time. So she did need to be present, even if nobody else was. So we had always, for 11 years at that point, gotten up Monday through Friday, gone to the office and worked, even if I didn't have anything to do. I'd find something to do, but even if I didn't have anything to do, and there are pluses and minuses to that. If you get up every day and you treat this like a job and you are in the office at 9 or 10 and you stay until 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 or whatever hours you want to set for yourself, you probably will get more accomplished, or at least come up with, if you don't have anything going on, it's like, all right, well, maybe we could work on a different marketing something. Maybe we could research, door hangers or whatever. You might come up with an idea to fill time, if nothing else. But the pandemic has definitely taught me that is not what I want to do with what little free time I have, is come up with more ways to spend my time that's work related. I want to take what little bits of time that I have and direct it towards, anything but selling more houses. But you have a tendency to just come up with shit to do. So if you're brand new and you've got no business and are really still trying to figure it out, maybe make yourself go to the office a couple times a week, sit there, try to feed off whoever else might be in there, make yourself come up with different marketing ideas, research. Don't spend your entire time on Facebook. You could have done that in the bed. But I don't think that we're of a generation or of an industry that requires that we go to the office Monday through Friday anymore. It used to be that way, but that used to be because that was truly how they got business. You didn't have a car phone. You didn't have a pager in some instances. If somebody needed you, they had to physically come to your office. So it made sense that we were there all day, every day. Walk-in traffic, depending on what city you're in, walk-in traffic to your office is not really that common anymore. So sitting there thinking that somebody might walk in the door, or even, office time for calls. I don't know if y'all, people have like rotations, like you're going to man the phones from 9 to 10. Yeah. That's not even really a thing anymore because cell phones. So I think we were still operating on an older platform, an older thought process of where business came from. And then COVID happened and you're like, oh, I can still do just as much, if not more, from my house. And I think that pretty much everybody is starting to switch over to that. We do still have some agents to go to the office because they need that. They can't work from their house. And I know there's plenty of people like that. Like they will lose their mind or they just won't do anything. So you got to kind of figure out what works for you. Try to stay home for a month and see how it goes. Go to the office for a month and see how it goes. And you may find that you need to do one more than the other, or you need some type of a, heaven forbid, hybrid situation, because everything is hybrid right now.
Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our course and coaching programs, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.